Good morning. This is Amy Marohn with Sensorium Hypnosis, and welcome to Healer Within. This is a podcast where we explore different alternative modalities to promote self-healing. And this morning, I'm so happy to have Casey as a guest. And our topic today is dream interpretation. Good morning to you, Casey. How are you?
Good morning, Amy. I'm doing well.
Awesome, awesome. And so Casey and I have a long and interesting relationship where we've used some of the lesser known tools, one of which is dream interpretation. And Casey, I would love for you to explain to our viewers and audience a little bit about your dreams, how you connected with spirit through dreams, how you began to manifest more colorful dreams, and begun to extrapolate some deeper meanings. So I'm going to pause and I'm going to give you the floor to share
Yes,
whatever you're inspired to share.
the dream started after I went through a workshop with you and a couple other people.
Mm-hmm.
And we read two books and talked about them kind of in a book club,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, fashion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they were Seed of the Soul
Mm-hmm.
and Artist's Way.
Yeah.
And I think the journaling from the Artist's Way, where you kind of wake up every morning and just write down what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and get that all out on paper,
Mm-hmm.
really opened up um, a connection for me to be able to have more dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And so what started happening is kind of shortly after that period, I started having vivid dreams,
Mm-hmm.
and I just started writing them down.
Mm.
And at first, I was waking up. I wasn't getting out of bed. I was just writing them down first thing as soon as I woke up. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it was happening in the middle of the night, and then I'd have to go back to sleep.
Wow. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then I kind of reached out to you and was like, "Hey, I'm having these dreams. Can we talk about them?"
Mm-hmm.
And we started realizing that we could kind of decode the dreams and figure out what they meant.
Yeah.
And I've just been kind of figuring out my own process of how to remember the dreams, how to write them down.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've really helped me figure out what the meaning is. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm still learning how to
Mm-hmm.
interpret them, but that's
Mm-hmm.
just part of the process.
Oh, it's amazing. And Casey, our journey together in through dream interpretation has been equally amazing for me as I realize that my interpretation is spirit assisted.
Hmm.
And Casey is one of these high frequency people who steps into my space. And by the way, Casey and I work in the back of my home where the frequencies and orb sightings are very, very strong. And Casey was the first person I worked with in that space, period, but also the first person that could help manifest these light beings or orbs in the middle of the afternoon that I began to be able to see with my naked eye. So there's something to this.
Hmm.
When two people or two or more people with high frequencies get together and either meditate or call in spirit, it's a beautiful phenomenon, a synergistic phenomenon of two people manifesting these energies. So Casey and I have a lot of experience working together, refining both of our gifts, but also drawing in these energies that absolutely assist us in, as you so astutely mention, to be able to decode the dreams and to piece together some themes and patterns that are particularly poignant to your life journey. So again, my time with Casey is some of my most favorite times as a practitioner, because the things that we're doing are off the charts in terms of creativity. And again, it's helped open up my spiritual pathways to be able to use some of my tools and gifts as Casey continues to refine her gifts. Casey, I hope it's okay that I share with our listeners and viewers that in one of the small groups that I brought together, another light worker in the group nicknamed Casey the Wizard. And I have to share that because it was so perceptive of this other person. Casey, you're more of a quieter soul. The wheels are always spinning. You're highly, highly intuitive. And what I've noticed in our work together is one of your superhuman powers is, I think, psychic abilities, your ability to be able to theorize or know outcomes. You're like one or two steps ahead. And I've noticed that. I found it tremendously interesting and endearing. And I just wanted to share that with people who are listening, that the clients I work with come to me with these gifts. And my job here is to help them continue to manifest and refine these gifts. And Casey has been particularly fun and interesting light worker for me to work with because of all these gifts that she has. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a plug there, but also share with people more of the type of clients who come and work in my space. So now, Casey, you and I are going to do something really different and really interesting for listeners and viewers. And Casey is going to share a dream that she had that she's written down, and I'm going to listen. And I'm going to bring through, we're going to hear Casey's interpretation of her own dream. And then I'm going to offer some spirit assisted interpretation. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
The
Awesome.
question is, are you ready?
Yeah. Spirit, are you ready? I'm getting a confirmation. I'm getting a confirmation. That's great. Okay. I'm listening. I'm opening up my spiritual channels and my spiritual ear, and let's get to it, Casey.
All right.
Okay.
I was living in a 2-story truck, and everything I needed was crammed into the truck, including a bathroom on the top level that I had to use carefully, as to not get water everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I had just taken a shower and still had a towel on my head.
Mm-hmm.
I used my truck to drop someone off for marching band. She realized she was late because she could see the band all in uniform marching to a game.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to go because I had already graduated, and people from the band recognized me and wanted me to come.
Mm-hmm.
A girl ran up to me and asked if I had a screw that was missing on someone's clarinet.
Mm-hmm.
We went back to my truck and I started looking through cases. She found one and ripped the screw off, and I was mad that she just took it off without asking. I
Mm-hmm.
gave her my number and told her to tell me if it worked.
Mm-hmm.
I started walking back to the truck, and I saw some people approaching my truck because I had left it in the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking, I was walking back, and I noticed that one of my friends was kind of struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to help, and I got my friend into the seat of the truck. And some time had passed, and I realized I hadn't had time to check my phone to see if the screw had worked for the clarinet.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked back over to the band to ask the girl,
Mm-hmm.
and people again were asking me if I could stay,
Mm-hmm.
including the band director. And the band director was asking uh, all the clarinets to check the measurements inside their clarinets to see what the measurements were to see if they could find a missing piece that would fit.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone's clarinet measurements were an inch and a half and not inch and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then eventually I ended up with a clarinet as well. And the bell was full of water from my shower.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then some more time passed and I walked away and the girl from before followed me. And she was saying that everyone respects me because I'm good at rule following. And I
Mm-hmm.
laughed and tell her that I hate rules and try not to follow them if they don't make sense because I'm a rebel.
I love it. Ooh, that was an action-packed
Yes.
dream.
Yeah.
Really, really amazing stuff. All right, I'm going to pause because I want to hear what you think
Hmm.
about this dream.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting with the truck. On one hand, I don't need very much because it's all like it all fits. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, I'm carrying everything with me all the time.
Yes.
And I also think it can be symbolic of travel,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that I can go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other big theme in this dream is music, which is something that I used to be very involved in and haven't been recently. So it kind of feels like an invitation, like
Mm-hmm.
everyone's asking me, "Hey, will you stay? Will you come?
Yeah.
Like, here's an instrument,
Right.
go." Um,
Yes.
so that feels like an invitation to me.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And then there's also this kind of leader
Mm-hmm.
aspect to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even socially, like, hey, come hang out with all these people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Anything else? That's amazing.
Well, I'm curious to hear what you think because I there's so much in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's amazing. So I'm going to pause for a moment, connect with spirit. Well, so there's themes around your soul being nomadic,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Being on the road, the spontaneity and creativity involved in giving yourself permission to live outside the norms of convention. Uh-huh. There's a certain
Hmm.
freedom.
Yeah.
Even just as I hear these references to parking in the middle of the road. Right. But also too, there's a lot that comes with living more simply. And I see, you were trying to figure out the water thing. And you had cases of things and it's a different lifestyle. It does require a bit of organization, right? And it does involve a whole lot of creativity and getting outside of your comfort zone. And then again, I mean, you made reference to this, figuring out like, do I need all
Hmm.
of this stuff? Maybe some of this stuff, I mean, that has some symbolic significance in your life. Am I carrying more than I need?
Right.
What's very, very interesting and cute to me is you make reference in the end of the dream about like I'm a rebel, I hate rules. um and I see this balance of this sense of responsibility that you have to others. I see reference to creative problem solving, like Casey, can you fix this? Can you help me with this? People seeking you out. And part of you is like, oh, right? Like,
Right.
oh, that to me speaks of a more of a burdensome part. Like, a recognition of others that you're highly creative, you're highly resourceful, you're able to problem solve. But what spirit brings through is the truth of you is you just want to play music. You
Right.
want community. You don't want
Mm-hmm.
to fix things all the time, right? Did you actually play the clarinet?
I
Is
did.
that was your
Yeah.
instrument? Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense. But also, too, what's very interesting is your reference to, oh, but I've already graduated. And
Right.
and what spirit brings through is already graduating. It's not just a reference of, being out of high school, but it's a reference to the wisdom that you carry. You've already graduated out of a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Convention, a certain way of thinking and being, of climbing the ladder. You've graduated from a mainstream existence into something much more advanced, much more progressive. You're looking through a totally different lens. And so perhaps these people seeking you out aren't just valuing you and needing you for your technical knowledge. They're valuing you and seeking you out for your company, your
Mm-hmm.
energy, your wisdom, your joy, all of the things that that other people can benefit from. And it's also, too, I see reference to perceptions, other people perceiving you as this person whose job it is to fix everything. Right. And that can
Right.
be a reference to mainstream employment, mainstream roles. Like, it's like, oh, why are people seeking me out for that? And then being angry a little bit or frustrated that people are like, oh, you didn't even ask, you're breaking rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're putting me in this position of feeling like I need to fix things. So part of the theme here that spirit brings through is giving yourself permission to not feel like you have to be the fixer, and to know that your energy, your frequency, your joy, your wisdom is more than enough. You don't have to be in that role if you don't want to be. You can actually show up as a participant rather than a fixer or a spectator or someone who just watches things from a distance.
Yeah.
Does that make a little bit of sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely. It's amazing. And I'll share with our audience, there's themes in most of Casey's dreams around being in a vehicle. Call it the escape vehicle. There's always like going rogue, she's on the road, she's hopping on a bus or a train or a plane or something. And it's all about rebellion
Mm-hmm.
and escapism. It's all about creativity and freedom and spontaneity. Um, and also I seem to be remembering some themes around water,
Yeah.
right? I mean, water is a symbolism of cleansing, rebirth, um, flow, those kinds of things, to get the water to work the way it needs to flow in the right direction, to understand how water works. Um, and I see the relationship between the flow of water and the flow of life and a spiritual flow, and just allowing that, trusting that flow, and knowing that water, that flow is going to carry you. Also, what spirit is bringing through is the importance of not waiting to be asked to join or to participate, right? We're creating that. We can create those scenarios through dreams as a form of awakening. Like, you don't, I mean, if most of us waited to be asked to participate in something that gives us joy, we could be holding our breath.
Right.
Right. But giving ourselves permission, like, hey, if I love music, if music feeds my soul, if it connects me to that deeper spiritual part of myself and opens the flow of creativity, why aren't I allowing myself to have those experiences? And also, too, we talk a lot of times in our work together about the importance of the frequency match, meaning that we're seeking out people and experiences that match our own frequency. No better place to do that than out in nature, right? Through music, through other people who are like-minded, through other creative souls who are inspired. Lots of themes in your dreams around community, around love and belonging. And also about there's connecting this current version of you with the parts of you in the past that carry the most meaning, that were most fulfilling to you. So the question is, how do you plug back in to that creative community, either through music or dance or, whatever it is, so that and that's how we keep our frequency high. I'm going to pause for just a minute. Okay, what spirit brings through is the stream is also a call, a deep spiritual call, calling within yourself and desire for people around you to see you through a different lens.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As
Yeah.
a soul, as a spirit, as a creator, as a highly intuitive helper healer, versus again, just somebody I come to say, fix this mess,
Right.
clean this up, do the measurements, right? That's all kind of, you have this incredible list of skills that are highly valued in the conventional world, right? But will people see beyond that into the soul of you, so that you and to have validated in ourselves and reinforced in ourselves, like, hey, right? For our viewers and listeners, Casey's been studying astrology, right? Casey is deeply connected to the other realm. Casey comes into our group and there's a frequency shift and orbs appear. So giving yourself permission to hover in that realm and to trust it, and to know that over time, other people who match your frequency will validate and reinforce and encourage the refinement and the use of those gifts, those spiritual gifts that you have.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. We also talked about a dream recently about shifting identity. So I think that
uh,
is very
uh,
similar. Like how do I shift that
completely.
idea? Yeah.
It's beautiful. And also, too, I see this, it was a double decker
Yes.
Decode, which is
Yes.
amazing. And if I'm not mistaken, at least I was visualizing with my eyes closed, you were in the upper
Correct.
of the, was it a van?
It was like a normal truck with a bed and
Yeah,
some yeah, it was just like two stories built on
yeah,
top of that. Yeah.
amazing. And the fact that you were upstairs on the
Yeah.
upper deck, right? You get a better view from
Hmm.
up there. Oh, well, and it's just amazing. And I seem to remember other dreams that you've had where you might have been maybe on a horse or in various places, even on a cliff or an embankment or something. How important it is for you to have a more expansive view of things around you, um, for the insights, for the inspiration. And a lot of your dreams involve, being outdoors and in nature too, and how important that is for you, to connect with the soul side of you by spending more time in the elements.
Yeah.
So beautiful. What a fun dream. And if anything else comes through on that, of course, as we spend time together, I'll bring that through. But I feel like we hit the key points that Spirit wanted to bring forth. How do you feel about that? Is there anything you
Yeah.
think we missed?
I don't think so.
Hmm?
Do you want to do another one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to close my eyes, get in the zone, and let's hear it.
All right. I walked into a huge building lobby with tall ceilings and a lot of empty space. There was a big feature built into the floor that you could push a button and it would suck you under the floor, change your outfit, and then elevate you back onto the walkway. It kind of reminded me of like a superhero. Not that it was a superhero
Mhm.
costume, but like just that process of like changing outfits.
Yeah.
I tried to hit the button, but it didn't work for me because it cost extra to use or was only offered on as a short-term bonus if you signed up.
Uh-huh.
I went up in an elevator to my room that I was using as an office. I had a short meeting with someone and went downstairs. There was an event with classes throughout the day, and we all had watches that had hologram screens.
Mhm.
So you could use your watch to figure out which classes you had coming up, and also see a map of the building.
Mhm.
It was right before 9 a.m. and I had a 10 a.m. class, and I was trying to figure out where it was and was exploring.
Mhm.
People were walking by me into different rooms. I couldn't remember how the map worked, and I asked someone for help. The girls I was talking to noticed a flashing light above the door and knew it was an alert to seek shelter. They encouraged me to come with them into their 9 a.m. class. The instructor didn't know anything was wrong and was pleasantly surprised to have so many people. We were sitting in groups at what reminded me of gambling tables. They were like green and like tall and
Mhm.
like half circles.
Uh-huh.
And the instructor walked around to each person and offered them a drink. I asked for water, and people were upset because I didn't pick something fancy, which was part of the reason for the class.
Mhm.
She gave me a Shirley Temple. I didn't want to drink it, but she also gave me water and moved on. I drank the glass with the Shirley Temple by accident and was surprised um, how strong it was. Shortly after that, we heard a commotion in the corridor, and we found there were guards in the hallways looking for an intruder, but they were pushing people into classrooms and locking the doors behind them to get them out of the way.
Mhm.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. All right. Casey, I want to hear what you think.
Mhm. So I think that the main thing that I kind of picked up on, I know there's a lot in there.
Mhm.
Um, but I knew what I wanted. Like I knew I wanted water. And I mean, I think that theme of water is just
Mm-hmm.
continuing. So
Yeah.
I find that kind of
Mm-hmm.
funny that a lot of my dreams will talk about and the themes will come back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's one of them. And then there's also um, this like me caring about people's opinions and not wanting to be judged, but like I know I want the water. I don't want something else, but everyone else is kind of like you should have something fancier.
Mm-hmm.
So like this outside expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also this authority where the teacher doesn't know what's going on, but everybody else knows something's happening in the
Mm-hmm.
building.
Yeah.
Um, and then also having the authority figure trying to push something else on me that I don't want.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Amazing. Anything else?
That I think that's it for now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll come up with a
Mm-hmm.
lot. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. I think what initially comes through is the importance of wide open spaces,
Hmm.
right? And the opportunity to experiment with new things, right? And to experience the intrigue of the present moment. I see a theme, spirit sees a theme of inaccessibility. There's magical, mystical things happening around you, right? Pushing a
Hmm.
button and going underground, and it changes your outfit. Um, but yet there's an accessibility issue with you.
Hmm.
And I see a reference to the cost is too great. It would cost extra money. And that fear of taking that chance. Like, what am I signing up for? What am I paying for? But
Right.
also to this desire to change outfits.
Hmm.
What would it be like to wear a different, not just an outfit, but a different persona? And how is it that other people get that opportunity? Right. And again, that spectator part of you that's watching some incredible phenomenon and things going on around you, but I don't know. I feel like yeah, I'm just gonna watch other people do it, at
Yeah.
least for now. But also the knowing that it's there.
Hmm.
Well, and also too, I think being tethered to the convention of, I call it the golden handcuffs or the holy dollar, right? Where we worry about, I mean, there's a symbolic representation of money representing cost on a bigger level, but also like, can I invest in this financially? Right? Whether it
Yeah.
be astrology classes or anything else, can I, and where will that take me? Right? Fear of the
Hmm.
unknown and fear of like squandering time, money, resources. Um, and again, coming out of that experience changed, different. Will I recognize myself? How will the outer world interface with this new me? So I just thought that was powerful. There have been other dreams that you've had about costumes, making
Hmm.
costumes, getting in trouble for looking different or trying something new. And to me, this is another iteration of that. That rebellious side of you is just like, I'm aware of it. Boy, that looks fun, but no, not for me, not this time. Um, what's really also interesting about this dream is the interruption of that experience by a work meeting.
Right.
And having to go upstairs, I think it was upstairs, was up
Hmm.
an elevator for a meeting. So it's like your joy and intrigue and creativity is, in a lot of your dreams, is interrupted by responsibility, a schedule, And what would it be like to not have that imposition on your life? Um, Technology,
Hmm.
the reference to technology and all the places technology can take us. The sky is a limit, right? You can look at a map of the place, but how do I use these? To me, it's a reference to tapping in or experimenting or expanding yourself to understand different tools and how tools can be used in your life. Not just this, was it a watch?
Yeah.
Not just, I mean, on a bigger level, just tools in general and seeking out help. Like how I know this is a powerful tool. It's going to show me where everything is in this building, but how do I use it? And then the understanding that the willingness of others to show you how those tools work and how they can work in your favor. Also, too, I see multiple things coming through. It also a hologram, right, that tells
Hmm.
you what your schedule is for the day. So this need that you have to know where you are in space and time and what your schedule is from moment to moment, the need to know. Um,
Hmm.
and again, that's tapping into conventional wiring of always being tethered to a schedule and always feeling like you have to know where you're going to be in every moment and have your time organized for you. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's like these tools can be very powerful if you know how to use them. But the flip side of it is being tethered to these tools, right? And feeling
Yeah.
like every moment of your day has to be accounted for. And
Hmm.
also, like, what if I miss the boat, right? What if I'm
Yeah.
not this kind of herd mentality? And then ending up, it's interesting in this casino style classroom with the half tables. Oh, it's like, okay, there goes the theme again about community and togetherness and fun and joy and intrigue. And it's a class, but it's not your typical class.
And it's not one I signed up for.
And it's
I,
not one you
hmm.
signed up for. You just ended there. And what do you do with that? Again, fear of the unknown and also of using your voice, of speaking your truth, of showing up authentically. Can I be okay? Like, and also, where do I fit in?
Right.
Right? Am I more of a spontaneous party, casino, have a drink? That's a whole nother speed. Or can I bring my authentic self into those spaces and breathe through the experience and learn to be okay with it?
Yeah.
Right. Also,
Hmm.
being around people who are different from you, learning to be okay with that. What's really cute in a lot of your dreams is the person in charge rarely knows what's going on. And there's
Right.
always some side agenda. I thought it was very interesting that in your dream you alluded to seeking shelter,
Hmm.
right? The
Yep.
importance of being safe and there's power in numbers, right? But also part of you waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like there always has to be chaos, a level of chaos when you're doing something spontaneous.
Right.
Here comes the authority to interrupt my joy, to push me into a room or a space and shut the door and keep me concealed,
Right.
right? So there's this dichotomous relationship that you have with rules. Um, Amazing and beautiful. I'm going to pause for a moment. what spirit brings through is the importance of variability and choices in your life and movement in your life. That, and also that the importance of flexibility and trusting that you'll land on your feet, that whatever it is, you'll figure it out. Whatever it is, you can do it. Right. And
Mhm.
that somehow this community or group is helping you let go of fear, let go of the need to always know, let go of the perfectionistic parts of you. Again, the schedule, that everything needs to work out in a certain way, in a certain order. I have to know where I'm going to be in every moment of the day. But I also too feel this sense of fear of being left out. Like, how is it that everybody else knows where they're going and what they want to do? It's like the FOMO.
Right, right.
And I don't want to be left behind. Don't leave me behind. Right. It's kind of like the fake it till you make it kind of thing. All right, I'll pause for another moment. I don't know what comes through is like this inner rebellion in you. Um, Again, I think that deep need for love and belonging, to be a part of something bigger than you, but also to be able to express your inner rebellion. That maybe those who are in positions of authority don't know everything.
Yeah.
And regaining a comfortability in that, dare to be different, dare to speak your truth, dare to go against the grain and question the viability. Just because certain choices are good for some people doesn't mean those choices are good for you. What was very cute in that dream was like you had a Shirley Temple and you were surprised at how strong it was. Boy, that has some deep spiritual connotations. What do you, how do you feel about that narrative? Like, I was surprised at how strong it was, right? Because the Shirley Temple doesn't have any alcohol in it.
Right.
So what was strong about that drink?
I mean, I think it's maybe it's like this judgment of like past experiences. It's like, okay, well, I've had this before,
Uh-huh.
right? So I know what it's going to be like if I do it again.
Okay.
Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Uh-huh.
it's like I have this idea of what it's going to be. So that's why
Uh-huh.
I don't want it. But it's
Uh-huh.
like I need to try it again because it's probably not how I remember it.
Oh, uh-huh. Wow, that's powerful. To me, it's like awakening, a sensory awakening,
Right.
right? Of allowing yourself to try something you've tried before, to be open to a new experience. Right?
Hmm.
I think, they say when you're trying to acclimate babies to, table food, it may take, right, 3, 4, 5, 7 times of repeat exposure to something before the child accepts that as acceptable, something palatable, right? Something their
Hmm.
taste buds are warming up to. Um, the importance again of allowing yourself to try something new. It's okay if you don't like it, but try it,
Right.
right? Maybe it's
Hmm.
not the worst thing in the world. Um, So I see that it's alluding to new experiences, innovation, creativity, remaining open, not being afraid of trying something new, even if it doesn't work for you ultimately, because maybe it'll be different this time, different, better,
Yeah.
stronger,
Hmm.
right? More impactful. Um, what a beautiful, beautiful dream. Spirit keeps bringing me back to the theme of openness, high ceilings,
Hmm.
big spaces. The first thing I thought of when you brought me into that dream experience was creating room in your life to be able to breathe. How important openness is to you. Community, yes, of course, intrigue, exposing yourself to new experiences, um, but also living more fearlessly, not worrying about letting go of time, letting go of the schedule, letting go of convention, the fear of not fitting in or feeling strange or being spontaneous,
Yeah.
and not knowing what to expect, and just right, it represents a shift in beliefs, a shift in inner dialogue to be able to say whatever it is, I've got this, or I'm not going to let my fear get in the way of throwing myself into a little bit of commotion,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? Some high
Hmm.
energy situations and new experiences that I feel like your soul is longing for. I need something different. I need a little bit of structure and convention, but I also need a lot of openness so that I can breathe, and allowing yourself to have those two experiences, polarized experiences, as part of your life journey.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Oh, Casey, amazing. Just amazing. And thank you, Spirit. Thank you. Well, and I have to say, our relationship and our work together is extremely fluid, by virtue of the fact that we've been at this for a while, even though I had no exposure to these dreams beforehand. You and I have this beautiful rhythm that's been going on for months. I can't even remember, and it's wonderful. And sometimes when we do the dream interpretation, we'll also do some mystical meditation, guided meditation, right? So that a lot of the nuggets of wisdom from spirit begin to percolate, settle in. Um, this may be a tough question, but I love to ask tough questions. Since the beginning of this journey of dream interpretation and deeper connection to spirit through dream work, how has your life path begun to shift or change? Even if it's in some small ways, what have you noticed in terms of inspiration, your path? How are things different for you?
I think we talked a lot about structure and schedules, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think before all of this dream analysis started,
Mm-hmm.
my life was built around structures, and I have to know where I'm going, and I have to do everything on the list, and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. I think I've always had those kind of rebellious tendencies and not wanting to do everything exactly the way people tell me to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think doing the dream interpretation has given me more permission
Mm-hmm.
to like decide, okay, how am I going to be more creative? How am I going to do something spontaneous?
Mm-hmm.
Which I do think ties back to the artist's way a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
And just being willing not to know the answer. So I
Oh.
think it's a combination of like mental shifts,
Mm-hmm.
like how am I willing to think about things differently?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the harder piece is putting it into action in my life, but I feel like I'm slowly making those changes.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be interesting to see how my dreams evolve as I evolve.
Oh, it's amazing. Casey, in closing, in what ways have you been able to get outside of your comfort zone in the last year or so? What are you doing differently that you may have never done before prior to some of this deep work we've done together, including the workshops and one-to-one, even going back at the beginning of our journey? How are you showing up differently in your life?
I think the first thing that came to mind was just being willing to sign up for an astrology class.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a big one, of just being interested in something and being willing to learn about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, other shifts is just trying to be more present.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the process of writing down my dreams, what I've kind of noticed is if I'm feeling stressed in my life,
Mm-hmm.
my dreams either will reflect that and they'll be kind of like chaotic
Uh-huh.
dreams. There'll be like work deadlines or like things I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to work through, and they're not very helpful. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay, I'm not getting good sleep.
Yeah.
Like I'm not giving myself enough space to have these dreams because I can tell like these two dreams in particular was when I was giving myself a lot of extra time to meditate and have space in my life. And that's why these are so detailed.
Yeah.
Not all of my dreams are that detailed. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I went to this place, this thing happened, that's it. That's all I remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are still useful and we can
Uh-huh.
still get information from them.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also something to having super vivid, detailed dreams
Oh,
because
yes.
the more vivid it is, the easier it is for me to remember.
Oh, absolutely, right. So when we are feeding our souls, when
Hmm.
we're living in a more balanced fashion, when we are allowing ourselves more space and room to breathe, then either the inner workings of our subconscious mind become more pronounced or prevalent, or in combination with the spirit world sharing some nuggets of wisdom that are much more prominent in much higher definition. They're more colorful,
Yep.
right? And so when we take care of ourselves, when we're doing the inner work, it really blows open the spiritual pathways, right? And opens the third eye, opens the heart chakra, and places it in the receive position. I always talk about connection with spirit having to do with the willing one, not necessarily, you know, those who are, the chosen one or the ones who are called. I do think the spirit world absolutely recruits certain people to do pretty incredible things. But I also think that there's an internal process of self love and self care and spiritual maintenance that needs to occur before we can have those deeper connections and we can ask spirit to come into our dreams and provide us with a deeper level of wisdom. During the day, we have so many distractions. While we're sleeping, just like when we're in a state of hypnosis, we're in a state of heightened receptivity, right? Where we're more open than ever before to hearing and seeing and feeling the messages that Spirit is wanting to relate to us. So well done, Casey. This has been, for me, absolutely fascinating. I smile every time you're on my calendar. There's so much laughter when you're sharing your dreams because the truth of your soul and your connection with spirit is there's a lot of innovation, creativity, playfulness. And I feel like in your lifestyle and in these tiny little shifts and changes, you become more and more courageous, more and more innovative. I feel like we're always pushing the needle forward in terms of your personal and spiritual transformation. So thank you so much for the honor of interviewing you today and bringing something totally unique to this Healer Within podcast. And I'm just going to encourage those of you out there who are listening or watching this video to feel free to learn more about my self-healing protocol by visiting sensoriumhypnosis.com. And again, I'm Amy Marohn with Sensorium Hypnosis. And Casey, again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for this incredibly interesting, engaging interview today. And I'll say goodbye, and I know I get to see you soon again. And thank you so much, Casey.
Thank you, Amy.
All right. Have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine.
You too.
Okay. Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.